And now, we're live. We're live. Live.
All right.
All right.
Welcome back.
Live.
As always, we'll do it live.
That's right. How's it going?
SVT Live, Monday Night
is.
Live.
That's right. Yeah, we can't call it Monday Night Raw because that's already taken. But yeah, we are live. Thanks for coming. This is SVT. I guess I decided to just take over right there a little bit. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell for alerts, Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. And that's Sam and Tyler. I'm Vince. Fellas, how's it going?
Good, man. Can't complain. Good old Monday. Back in the saddle here.
Yeah, we got nice distractions abound today. We had the Sharks played early, 10 a.m. Puck drop, and then the Warriors tipped off at 2 p.m. and that game did not go well. We'll talk about all that a little bit later, but of course, first up, we've got football. Football is king, right? Mm-hmm. So let's dive in. We've got the divisional round recap, the playoffs. And on Saturday, you had Houston losing to Kansas City 23-14, and Washington with the huge upset over Detroit 45-31. That was a barn burner. What did you think about the Saturday games, fellas?
Man, I you know what's funny is on Thursday, I think I was making coffee, and I was like, I know we already made our picks, but I kind of want to flip Washington to try and win. And I had thought about it, and I was like, well, it's moot at this point. But I was like, something tells me I feel like that quote of "I'll see you in 2 weeks" is really gonna bite him in the ass, given the whole Viking situation. And boy, was I right! Golly. Oh, yeah. I loved it, man. It gave my team home field advantage. I know we'll get to that shortly here. So, Jade Daniels a real deal, and as a Raiders fan, you got to be really annoyed seeing that because you knew what could have been, but brighter days ahead, hopefully for the Raiders going forward here. So,
yeah, I mean, there's no way that there's no way in hell the Raiders are going to be able to move up to 2 or 1. I mean, I just think there's no way in hell Washington was going to move that pick.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, the Raiders could have called and knocked and pounded and,
held at gunpoint. It wasn't going to matter. Yeah.
It don't matter.
Well, more or less it was getting those wins last season that you probably
absolutely
didn't need,
Of course. But, you if you get the quarterback, you probably get the offensive coordinator, right? So I think with Cliff Kingsbury, that's what derailed his time with the Raiders was there was no guarantee that they were going to be able to get Jaden Daniels and then the guaranteed year on his contract. But we'll talk about coaching stuff later.
Yeah. So, and then as far as the Chiefs and the Texans game, that one was kind of boring. I think I said it in the group chat. This is
the refs, winning that game again for the Chiefs, like always.
Yeah. It happens. We're not surprised anymore. I think that there were questionable calls all over the damn place in that one. Obviously, the more impactful ones happened to happen for the Chiefs, as it kind of happens for them too. They keep finding a way to get the boring, uninspired win, and here they are, 7th year in a row in the AFC title game, man.
You know what's bad though when Troy Aikman on live TV says, "Oh, come on." Even he's fed up with this.
Oh, well, it was bad. Yeah. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying it was good. It was, or even.
The thing that
but it just
is irritating is, when the quarterback is running out of bounds and intentionally stops bounds to draw a penalty, or two guys going for a tackle, they tackle each other, don't even hit the quarterback, and then they throw the flag.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I'm like, dude, what are you supposed to do? And if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're going to do that all day, every day, because you're getting the calls.
Yeah, it behooves you to do it. Yeah, until they don't give him those calls.
We've seen other quarterbacks do this. The whole stutter step at the sideline. You're seeing it from the position And unless the NFL, does something about it, you're just going to see it. And it's terrible for the game.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, agreed. All right, I think that's enough on Saturday. We had Tyler's Eagles get the win 28-22 over the Rams, and Buffalo holds on in a nail biter 27-25 over Baltimore. So let's talk about your boys, Tyler.
I mean, it's a snow game. You expect the running game to pop off, and it did pop off. We just had the better running back. Saquon Barkley just shattering records left and right in this historic season for him. So I know it's a quarterback kind of award, but man, I don't know how you overlook Saquon Barkley as a possible MVP candidate. I know it's probably going to go to maybe Josh Allen or a quarterback of any stature, even Lamar. But again, I mean, we don't win that game if it's not for Saquon Barkley. So hats off. I mean,
yeah, turns out that was a good guy to sign in the offseason,
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I know, right? Like
that's crazy talk to sign an all-pro, Pro Bowl running back or keep a Pro Bowl all-pro running back. That's crazy.
I mean, the Giants, they really shit the bed on that one, man. It's wild. And I like that the Eagles kind of started really feeding Saquon in the second half of the season, especially, and then especially in this game. It's like, hey, you have this, fucking use it. You have this amazing tool in the toolbox. Let's fucking use it, man. And who'd have thunk? As for the Baltimore Buffalo game, Lamar Jackson showed up. This loss was not on Lamar Jackson. Anybody who tries to say otherwise, they're full of shit, man. Because he put the ball on Mark Andrews for that game-tying 2-point conversion, and Mark Andrews ended up dropping it. And obviously there were other times too where they could have got the win, but Buffalo they held court, man. They did what they needed to do to get the win. And I was the only one that picked that game right. So, all right, enough of that. So that was there was your weekend, man. That was a lot of fun to watch in the end, especially Sunday, the nightcap, especially, and the Philly and Rams game. That was, it had its moments too, but I think it definitely the weekend got better. Each game, the first game was boring as shit. Then it was a little bit better on Saturday night. A lot of offense, kind of washed the stink off of that first game. And then both games on Sunday were pretty damn good, actually. So I think they got the scheduling order right too, because the night games were definitely the more exciting ones.
Agreed.
To be sure. So the NFL got it right, I guess, in terms of when to schedule them. They got lucky, I guess. The script was written properly, however you want to phrase it. So I guess let's talk a little bit about just kind of what has happened in the week leading up to these games, and just kind of around the league. We have the Bears this morning hiring Ben Johnson is going to be the head coach there.
No.
God, please, no.
God, please, no.
Insert my Michael Scott.
Yeah.
But I think it's to your point, Sam. It's the quarterback situation. I fully believe that if the Raiders had a good quarterback or a young, inspiring quarterback that you feel like you could build around, Ben Johnson would have been your head coach.
Well, I mean, it's 20 years of itchy trigger finger. That was one of the reasons why I said, right when the season started, I think it made sense to keep Antonio Pierce. Let him, because he was the secret sauce was Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels. So don't crucify Antonio Pierce because of the record, what it turned out to be. His pick was Cliff Kingsbury. He had him.
He was right.
It was the front office. It was ownership. It was management. It was the people who signed the checks who said, no, we're not giving the extra year to Cliff Kingsbury. And I know what Schefter said about the Raiders didn't call. Maybe that's true. I've heard Raider reporters say that's absolutely not true. I'm not in the building. I don't know, but we know that there's a history of Tom Telesco not trading up in drafts. He does not trade up. He is not aggressive. He's a calculator. He lets the board fall to him. He's just going to follow the spreadsheet. That's what he does. And you cannot like it. You could disagree with it, but it got him to where he's at, whether you like it or not, right or wrong. He hit the nail on the head with this past draft class with Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson. We've talked about this draft class before, but I really wanted to do a video on Sunday, and it was just so jam-packed because I woke up Sunday and I'm watching all the Raider stuff coming in, right? I'm watching all the reporters working on the weekend, and they're saying this, saying that. They're interviewing the assistant GM in Washington. They're interviewing the assistant GM in Tampa Bay. They scheduled a second interview with the guy in San Diego, the assistant GM. And I go, oh yeah, I don't think Ben Johnson's happening. And the reason why is if you had Ben Johnson in the bag, I actually started drawing the lines that you didn't, because you're looking at other GM coaching pairings. You look at Washington. So the assistant GM there, Lance Newmark, who's the offensive coordinator in Washington now? Like that, you're looking at that connection. Could he bring Cliff Kingsbury to the Raiders as the head coach? You look at Tampa Bay, Spytek. Who's the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay? Cohen. So you start and you look at the general manager at the Chargers. He's actually from Baltimore. He has Baltimore Ravens roots. He's from that Ozzie Newsome tree. Who's the offensive coordinator in Baltimore? Right. So I think what I woke up to is everybody was reading the connections to Ben Johnson, but I started seeing the tea leaves as who are the offensive coordinators that they are connected to. So I think the Raiders actually knew they weren't going to get Ben Johnson by Sunday. I really think they knew, because that's when you heard the ramp up of their interviewing more GMs or bringing GMs back for a second interview. So that was kind of the smoke signal for me that he was out. I was hopeful. I was hoping. But thus is life. This is where you're at. You have to be real with yourself that it's a franchise that hasn't been very good for 20 plus years. Even when Al Davis was alive, the 10 years since the Super Bowl wasn't good. And then he passed, and then the Mark Davis era, like it hasn't been good for a very long time. And players, if you're a player right now, you don't even remember the Raiders ever being good.
Right.
If you're a coach, you were a teenager, you were a kid.
There's going to be guys on this team that were not alive the last time the Raiders were in that Super Bowl in 2002.
Or even,
there's going to be rookies, maybe even second year players.
Correct.
Because that was 2002, right? So
you have so much to overcome, and the facilities are beautiful. The stadium is beautiful. I think it's going to work out that it's actually a good hire that you did bring in Tom Brady. You don't get the interview without Tom Brady. So that does give you some cachet. That does give you a little bit of shine to your brand. Like it's doing something for you. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but you have so much to overcome. I think the next best hire, I would not be upset if you did go the Pete Carroll route, because you need somebody in here with instant credibility, instant juice. And I think Pete Carroll, you look at the division, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, and Sean Payton. You think Pete Carroll's going to blink an eye with those guys? Do you think he's going to be truly out
Dude, the Raiders-Chargers rivalry will be ignited.
Mhm.
Those dudes hate each other.
So I would love a Pete Carroll hiring just to get a program back on track. I'm not saying with Pete Carroll you're in the playoffs in 2 years, 3 years, but you would have some type of structure, foundation, culture. You know, you don't have that right now. And it would have been great to land the Corvette, the sexy name, which was Ben Johnson. But you know, this is where you're at. I still think they're gonna have a quality. They have options. You know, the options. We did this exercise last week where I showed we read off a list of the candidates that are there's good coaches out there. You know, there's still a good pairing of a GM and head coach out there who can get you some juice into the building. So not all is hope. A little sad, a little disappointing, but
my dad in the chat says, "Don't worry, Sam. He'll be fired within 2 years. After all, it is the Bears."
it's
You know, I mean,
it is
until we see otherwise. 100% co-signed on that one. You know?
I mean, but you know what? In closing, I did think about this. That I did think that in 2 to 3 years he'll probably be fired because the Bears are going to bear just like the Raider going to Raider. You know? like, but I instantly went to Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Like Ben Johnson saying no to Tom Brady, like Brady, I just see him like, and I took it personal. You know? So I do think Brady not getting his way, I do, you know, he's a competitor, and I do think he's, you know, grinding his teeth right now, and he's mulling over options 2 and 3 and what's going to put this franchise back on top. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
One more report that Tyler just brought up is in our doc is Kellen Moore is rumored to be the Cowboys' next head coach. What?
Yeah, I mean, he spent, you know, he's cut his teeth with the Cowboys, so
yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, there's other suitors out there. You know, obviously Deion Sanders is thinking that he's going to be the head coach, and it sounds like the Cowboys have said thank you, but no thank you. Kellen Moore, I think, is probably your best option. I think what really bothers me about this whole situation with Kellen Moore, it's not that I don't want him to be a head coach. I think he's paid his dues and has earned the right to be the head coach. If it happens to be with a divisional rival, fine. You know, it is what it is. But Jalen Hurts is now going to go on to his third OC in 3 years. You know what I mean? So, and it wouldn't be an issue if Nick Sirianni called the offense, which he does not call the offense. So do I think that this could lead to something detrimental to Jalen Hurts in his progression of being a better quarterback? Yeah, absolutely. So I hope it's not true. I hope Kellen Moore decides to stick around for at least one more year, but you know, if he ends up going to division rival, it's not like it's a big shock to me that happens. So
right. All right. Also, we are checking in on the Ohio State Notre Dame National Football Championship. Right now, Ohio State just scored a touchdown. They're up 14-7 with about 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. So that game is happening as we're talking. And college football games take for fucking ever. So that game will be finished about 5 hours from now, give or take. I mean, especially a national title game, you got to get all those commercials in, man. You got to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that game's going to be happening. Oh, LeBron's at the game. Shocker. It's, you know, Ohio State. He's from Ohio, so it, you know, it tracks. Anyway, with that, I think it's time to move on to our playoff picks. So to recap, we all had the Chiefs. The Chiefs ended up winning. We all had the Lions. The Commanders ended up winning. We all had the Eagles. The Eagles won. And then the Ravens and Bills game, I had the Bills. You two had the Ravens. I was right. So that means that's 2 weeks in a row where I have one extra game correct over the two of you. So I had 3, you had 2. And for our points, if you get one right in the wild card round, meant 1 point. Division round is worth 2 points. Championship weekend, that is worth 4 points, and the Super Bowl is going to be worth 8 points. And then we have our bonus for preseason picks. Tyler, you lost the Ravens on yours, so you still have the Eagles though, and you have them winning the Super Bowl. So you're still alive for 10 possible bonus points. Sam, you had the Chiefs losing to the Niners. So you could still get 5 bonus points. And I had the Dolphins and the Niners like an idiot. So I'm locked out of bonus points. So whatever I get right is what I get right.
Who did you have again?
The Dolphins and the Niners. What an idiot. His brain kept me from being able to at least have a shot at it, man. Damn. Anyway, but I'm doing all right. I've only missed one each week so far, with several games. Now we're down to only two games though, so it's going to be important to get them both right. And that being said, so Sunday, 12 o'clock Pacific time, Commanders are going up the I-95 to take on the Eagles. I assume Tyler's going to pick the Eagles here.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam, how about you? Are you picking the Eagles or are you going with the upset?
I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, so am I. So we're all in agreement here. We're all hoping that Tyler is happy. My dad in the chat says he's seeing Bills Commanders in the Super Bowl. That would be chaotic as hell. All right,
so a rookie quarterback has never made it to the Super Bowl ever.
Yeah. That's
ever.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, now that the Ravens are no longer in this, I'm picking the Chiefs to be the matchup here. And the reason being is I feel like they're more beatable than the Bills in a head-to-head matchup. And the only reason why I say it is because Allen can run. And I'm not seeing Mahomes being that crazy good at running. Like, you have to definitely game plan for Allen.
Well, half of the Chiefs' losses this season came to the Bills. That's
right.
So of the 2 losses, one of them was the Bills. So, I mean, and that's part of the reason why I am picking the Bills. I'm going to go with the Bills instead of the Chiefs. So, the Bills put a stop to the nonsense.
Well, I also
for
want
one
the matchup.
goddamn year.
Well, I want the rematch.
I'm picking the Chiefs because that's, to win this this little game here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if the Bills eliminated the Chiefs. Like who? I think everybody wants this era to end. We're sick of the Chiefs.
Yeah. It's 7 years in a row in the AFC title game. They're going for their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, 6 years, I think, because it was 2000 and then the last 2. I mean 2020 and then the last 2.
I would also, though, I mean, we give Patrick Mahomes a lot of shit for what he does.
Being great.
Yeah, for bending the rules, right?
For being an all-time great, yeah.
But Allen does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not as egregious as Mahomes. So both of them can be pretty annoying. I just want the rematch, man. I think that's what I want is
right.
I want the redemption.
I think when Allen runs the ball, he's like trying to plow through guys. He's not stutter stepping and like trying to get a penalty. He's just like, I'll just get the extra yard. I'll just get it.
But he does the same out of bounds bullshit where he, slows up or
they all do that.
Yeah, I mean, but Allen is also bigger, so like
sure.
anytime anybody puts a hit on him, it doesn't work quite as well as so he's just a bigger, stronger guy. It's tougher to take those guys down. So. All right. So we are going to go ahead and lock it in. We're all on the Eagles. Tyler and Sam are on the Chiefs. I'm taking the Bills. And there we go, gentlemen. We have locked us in. All right. With that, I think it's time to move on to basketball. Let's talk about how the Warriors week went. There's your tongue twister. Warriors week went. They lose on Monday, the past Monday on the 13th at Toronto, 104-101. That game was happening while we were recording last week. Then they get the win at Minnesota on Wednesday, 116-115. They get the win versus Washington, 122-114. And then earlier today, the game ended about an hour and a half ago. They got absolutely demolished by Boston. It was a 40-point L. Yeah, that was a
hate crime on Martin Luther King Day here.
Yeah, that was I think Boston shouted pocket check, and just started stabbing. Like, it was 125-85, a 40-point loss. If you're on YouTube, you see the score. It it was embarrassing, frankly. Like, it was bad. And that game was basically as soon as Steph came out of the game for his, traditional, last half of the first quarter rest, that was it. That's when Boston kind of started putting pedal to the metal, and they never looked back, man. It never got close at all after that. And game was rough, man. It was a rough one to watch. Thank goodness I had my work to distract me. I was on call, so I had to answer a couple of emails while that was. So I didn't have to watch all of the pain. I just had to have it on in my peripherals. Use your peripherals, man.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, again, we've said this last week too. They're the worst looking 500 ball club I've seen.
Yeah,
like
that's what they are. They're 21-21. They're in 11th place in the West. Phoenix is actually 10th at 21-21 as well. But through whatever tiebreakers they have, Phoenix is holding that 10th spot. So if this is it, man, if they don't make a move, and this is the team we got, I'm starting to not see how it happens. No, even getting into getting into the playoff tournament, I don't even know if it's going to be a thing, as it stands right now. There's got to be a move somehow. You got to shake something up. You got to make something happen if you want to actually have any chance at all at, making the playoffs.
They're just in the worst possible spot you can be in.
And they got no money. You
got no cap room. You got no draft capital. And then this season, you're just mid. You're just stuck in the middle. And then if you bring any of this back next year, unless you add a legit superstar, you're just another mid season, and until you, like I said this last week, the smartest thing, if you want to win again, is probably just rip it down to the studs, get rid of everybody. But then you're saying goodbye to all your favorites,
Yeah.
So otherwise you're just going to watch them suffer.
This is the price to pay for greatness sometimes, is once it's done, it's kind of rough,
Wow.
I'm glad we got 4 chips, man.
Cooper Flag looks good in blue and white. You might look good in blue and gold, you know what I'm saying? Like,
not happening. That is like the if whoever lottery ends up with the number 1 pick, that is not being traded.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying trade. I'm saying take out the rest of the season if you're not going to make any trades. I don't think the only, I mean, if it was football, yes. If but because of the lottery, I don't even think they can get into the lottery. I don't even think they can win the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the odds are so astronomical.
Right.
It is stacked against, the better of the non-playoff teams. So that's going to be rough, man. If they're super, super fucking lucky and somehow get it, great. Awesome. I'm not counting on it though. Like, I'm going to operate as if we're going to be picking, 14th or something like that, or whatever the math is, 12th, whatever. I think that the Warriors are probably going to be, somewhere around 10 to 12 is where they're sitting right now, I think, because of.
So let me ask you this, in the off season, because I don't think you're going to be able to really do anything mid-season. You're not going to be able to add anything mid-season. So what are you doing in the off season? You got to ask, what are you doing with Curry?
Yeah, well, Curry's not going anywhere, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately.
Draymond just signed that extension. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's tough because these guys all have multi-year extensions, and getting somebody to pick up that tab, you're going to have to trade money for money at that point. So you got to bring on somebody. Yeah, Wiggins is, I mean, I don't know when his contract is up exactly, but I think his is closer to up than Draymond or Steph's. So
it's just bleak. I don't really know what.
I think we got another year of mid, man. I mean, unless some miracle happens, if you're able to, like what they did with Chris Paul, right? To bring Chris Paul in because he only had 1 year left on his contract plus the player option versus you had just signed Jordan Poole. So the money was still the same. It was just the years that were different, right? So if you're able to bring somebody in with only like the 1 year remaining on their contract, you bring in that expiring contract, but is it like equal money to Wiggins or Draymond? That's the only way you could flip it and make it work. I don't see anybody willing to make that move though. Like
So
make
you
that
got
move with us.
Curry expires in the 26-27 season.
Okay, so he's got
Wiggins,
2 more years after this.
Draymond also have 2 more years.
Okay.
But then you have Kyle Anderson also for 2 more years.
Okay.
You
It's
have Buddy
a little bit
Hield
cheaper.
for 3 more years.
Okay, but those guys are cheaper contracts. Well.
They're just under 10 million a year.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
yeah.
just over 10 million a year in their third years. And then you have Moses Moody, who signed his deal. So he has 11, 12 and a half, and 13.
Okay.
I mean, you just don't have a lot of
There's
guys,
no wiggle room. Yeah.
Who's going to take Buddy Hield? Who's going to take, any of these guys? Like, you just don't have a lot of options. And
I think it's paying for 2 more years, possibly.
I do too.
Yeah. And you know what? We got 4 chips out of this.
Right.
I remember the before times, it's a decade ago now at this point, the before times, but I remember them,
Yeah.
It was rough. It was really bad.
Well, for somebody like that's still like the Warriors historically from when I was born to right now, like 2/3 of my life, they sucked.
Yeah, exactly. 3/4 actually, if you want to So they've been great for the last 10 years, excluding this year. And then there was the 2020 season, but then you had a spike year in 2007 here. And then you had Run TMC. So like math, it's right around of the last, let's say since 1976. I don't know exactly how many winning seasons they have had, but almost all of them have happened in the last decade, the last decade, dozen years or so. So I am super thankful for this iteration of the Warriors. I never thought it was actually going to ever happen. And I'm going to let Curry ride off into the sunset however long he wants to play. If he wants to keep playing and he wants to keep playing here, keep signing him. I don't care. Do it. Fine. I'll worry about the back end. Anybody else though, even Draymond, they are able to be let go and traded or whatever. But Curry's the only one that I'm giving open checkbook to. He gets the Kobe treatment as far as I'm concerned. He can do whatever he wants and retire as a Warrior. And he
just
can
no
get the
helicopters.
No helicopters.
Do you think, I feel you, Vince, but what does Curry want to do?
That's the other part. If Curry wants to still win,
Draymond want to suck ass for the next 2 years.
That's the other part too. Yeah, I don't know, man. And if Curry's willing to stick around through a rebuild or whatever, I'm happy to have him, and he can make sure that we stay above whatever salary cap floor.
If he says trade me, like, how do you? I don't even like with that.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, you do it. You do.
I mean, you do it, but it's
Joe Lacob wouldn't even think
$59.6 million next year.
Yeah, so
and $62.5 million in his final year. So, how the NBA? You got to get value back.
Yeah, money for
money. You got to have your contract. So now you got to take on $60 million next year. So you could do a 3 players for 1 or 4 players. Like
it's probably going to
money
take.
Needs
the money
to be there.
Money needs to match within a mil or two. So I mean, I don't know that Curry's ever going to ask for a trade before the final year of his contract. So he's got 2 more years after this one. I think next year he doesn't ask for a trade. Maybe in the off season, if he still thinks he has a shot at winning a title, even if it's not here at Golden State, that's when you start entertaining that possibility, especially if he asks for it.
Yep.
But before then,
if he asks for it, I think the Warriors would
do
everything they could to get him out because of what we just discussed. I think they know that there's no moves.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
we're
no
kind
moves to get back to the top.
We're locked in salary cap hell right now.
Yeah.
And that is that's what the salary cap is designed to do. We have been fortunate as Warriors fans to kind of dodge the worst parts of it for a long time, but the tab is due.
Don't worry, guys.
It happened with the Sharks. It happened
2 years from now. They're going to retire. They're gone. They're off the books, and we're going to get Bob Myers back. Bob Myers just didn't want to deal with this mess.
Yeah. He can come in and be the hero and clean it up after Dunleavy is the sacrificial lamb. Yeah.
I mean, there's no moves for Dunleavy to make. Like, it's hard to judge him because there's nothing to be done. You know, it's hard. You know, they're in cap hell, as you said, Vince.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, and we're already going to start getting the articles about like, I literally just got a Bleacher report or
about
push
sweeping
notification saying, do Dubs need sweeping changes? And it looks like it's people are debating that right now as we talk. So we're not the only ones talking about it. It's happening on all the platforms that talk Warriors. This conversation is starting to happen now. So welcome to that conversation. This upcoming week, they're at Sacramento on Wednesday. They're back home on Thursday against Chicago, and then they got the Lakers on Saturday. So the NBA is calling this rivalry week. And really, I think it's obviously the Chicago one's not really a rivalry, but you get the Lakers, which is, that's a SoCal, NorCal rivalry type thing. Totally get that. And then you have Sacramento, so you have your NorCal rivalry as well. So I kind of get that. And
the Lakers are just like the Warriors right now. I mean, LeBron's come out and just said publicly, the other day that the way this roster is constructed for the Lakers, they have to play perfect basketball in order to win games. That's exactly what the Warriors are dealing with right now. And, I mean, I know LeBron takes a 1-year, 2-year contract every year, but he's a lot of money. They did a lot of trades in the past couple of years, and they're paying these guys now, and they don't have any draft capital. So they're dealing with the same issue. So
with the Lakers, I got their numbers here. You got LeBron making $48.7 million, Anthony Davis $43.2 million. So those are your two
big money contracts.
So
yeah.
And LeBron has one more year next year at $52.6 million.
Okay, so that accelerates quite a bit. Like, yeah.
So I mean, it's the same thing. And then when you're not getting playing time from Anthony Davis, who's constantly injured,
that's
you're in the
money.
same exact thing. And then they have young players too. They gave Rui Hachimura the money. They brought back Austin Reeves. So you got some guys that showed promise, and they just look kind of mid right now. So, same exact.
Yeah. So, basketball in California, huh? What a time. Ugh, bummer. Speaking of bummers, Draymond Green has a calf injury, and he's going to be reevaluated in a week. He's going to miss at least the next 3 games. He only played like 3 minutes on that game on Saturday against Washington. And then he obviously didn't play in the game earlier today. And so he's going to be out for the next week. And then we'll revisit at that time. And I guess that's basically it. I mean, the Heat are still looking to trade Jimmy Butler, and I think Jimmy Butler wants to get traded out. So I think they're both done with each other at this point. We'll see.
I love how they revealed the Miami Vice jerseys, and Butler was the first person in that video, and it just seemed like, man, he is not wanting to be here. He's held hostage at this point.
Yeah. Oh boy. And I don't like I mean, we talked about it before. I don't know that the Warriors can swing that move to make it happen. They got, like, money wise, I think that they could get close to making it work. But I don't think Miami wants what we're offering. So we'll see, and that's part of the reason why I don't think him coming here is happening.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so let's switch gears now. I think it's time to talk hockey. And over the last week, the Sharks, they get only one win this entire week, and it was what Tyler and Sam thought it was going to be at Detroit on Tuesday. They get the win 6-3. They then lose Thursday at Columbus, and then they lose at New York Islanders 4-1. Both of those games were 4-1. And then this morning, they were up in like heading into the third. They were up 3-2. They surrender the tying goal. They surrender the go-ahead goal. They give up 2 empty netters, trying to come back. They end up losing 6-3. So they are 8th in the Pacific, 15th in the West, and 31st, I believe, out of 32 NHL teams. So they're in prime position again to get a really good lottery pick.
Yeah, I think Chicago's the only one that's just worse.
Any of our witchy friends out there, if you've got some crystals, I don't know, charge them up under the full moon. Let's start making this number 1 pick happen again. Let's start making it happen, man. So yeah, this game today, there was Askarov looked good again. I don't know what she can really do like for some of those goals that came in. There was one scary one that he did let get by him, but it rang off the post, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I mean, they were up heading into the third, so this is another situation where they can't lock down in the third period for whatever reason, man. And
gas,
honestly,
they get gassed in the end. They just focus.
I think they're also, I mean, they are relying on the better players on the roster a little bit heavier, and like you said, that's leading to them getting gassed. Yeah, it's just kind of, if you're looking for wins, there's not a lot of them to be had, and that's why we're playing this win of the week game. It's kind of a way for us to like have some fun, knowing that there's going to be a lot of losses, knowing that you're heading for another top 5 pick, hopefully a top 1 pick. That'd be nice again. So upcoming this week, you're at Nashville on Tuesday. And then you come home and you're on Thursday and you're playing against Nashville. So you get a home and home against the Predators. And then you have Florida Friday on Saturday, the 25th. We're all going to be at that game, actually. So that's fun. As for the win of the week, Tyler, you already keyed in yourself as the Thursday game against Nashville. Sam, which game do you think the Sharks are going to win?
I mean, you have to say Saturday. I mean, it's not going to happen, but you have to say Saturday. You know you want to watch a win in person.
Yeah, it should be Saturday. Yeah, I'll go with Saturday because it's my day. It's my birthday.
All right, so
we'll be at the game.
I am going to. Which one do I do? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to ride with Sam on this one, because I want to see a win. God damn it. It'd be nice. Yeah. So, and like we said, though, even if they don't win, they are in an excellent position to get a really good player in the draft. Somebody that could possibly skip the minors entirely. Like when you get a top 2 pick, you expect those guys to be playing almost immediately. And Macklin obviously has. He has played immediately, and he didn't play a game in the minors at all. So, and you expect to see that again. And here's hoping, man. Yeah. So, just to recap for our win of the week standings.
What's really cool too, I was looking at the draft stuff already.
Okay.
The Sharks are the Blackhawks only have 33 points in the season. The Sharks are 34.
Yeah.
So they're both battling for that spot. And the top name that I've been hearing about is Matthew Schaefer, a defenseman. Something the Sharks desperately
need. If it's a defenseman, it may actually take maybe half a season because to get up to the NHL level. They usually want to have their defensemen get a little bit more work down in the minors first, no matter what. And that's just kind of how the NHL operates. But a forward, a goal scorer, if you're picking somebody in the top 1, top 2, we saw it with Patrick Marleau once upon a time. He just went straight to the NHL. He didn't play a game in the minors, and we're seeing it with Macklin now. Yeah, so that's kind of what you want for your forwards. But a defenseman or a goaltender, we obviously don't. We think we don't need a goaltender right now with Askarov looking as good as he does. So, yeah. So if you get a defenseman, maybe it's like a month or 2, and then he's up with the big league, with the big team. And
for sure,
you hope.
Yeah, I mean, there's some defensive players in the. I mean, they're cooking. You know, like I want to see what was Dickinson.
Sam Dickinson. McMullen got a little taste earlier this year, and I didn't think he looked too terrible. I think he's gonna obviously be coming back up at some point, and he just kind of had to make way because Marc-Edouard Vlasic came off of the injured list. And actually, the Sharks, like they I think they've like of the 4 games they've won this year, Marc-Edouard Vlasic in 2025 this year, not this season, this year. Pickles has been on the roster for all of those wins, I think. So that's interesting. That's noteworthy. I'm not saying he's a reason for it, although he certainly has helped, with the assist on one of those games in his first game. So, yeah. I don't think Pickles is going to get a ton of playing time. You want to, if you're able to trade him, great. I think he's going to end up, this is his last year, I think. I think they don't bring him on the team next year. He'll be dead cap money next year,
yeah,
I think.
I think so too.
And if that's the case, much respect. Thank you for your service. Enjoy your gold medal, and right off into the sunset, because I don't think another team is going to pick him up. I don't think he has any trade value. So outside of expiring contract trade value, I mean, so that's the only way. And his contract doesn't expire yet. So there we are.
For sure.
Just real quick, win of the week. Tyler has 7 correct on the year. Sam has 6, and I have 2 because I'm a lot better at picking football than I am at hockey. Random wins. So whatever, having fun. So with that being said, Wrexham, we're gonna move over to soccer. Let's talk about it. Tyler, go ahead.
So Wrexham took the L, which is not good, but they're okay. They lose to Shrewsbury Town 2-1 on Thursday. They have an upcoming match against Birmingham this Thursday, and that's if anybody's paying attention, that is Tom Brady's ownership of a team there. So a little bit of opposite worlds colliding together here with football and football here. Now they're currently 15-6-5, 51 points, 3rd place. So they're not that far off. Birmingham is I think in 2nd right now, and they're only up. I think they have like 54 points. So
right there, it's a game. Like this game actually could move them up into 2nd, right? Or goal differential.
Right. Exactly.
You gotta look at goal differential, but yeah. So yeah, they're right there.
Other news that isn't on the dock here, but they just released some renderings of the new stands that they're trying to get built. What seems like a lot of red tape because 2 Americans trying to build anything in England. It seems like England is not very happy. Well, Welsh. I'm sorry. Let me get that correct here. Yeah. They're just they're giving them the hardball here, unfortunately. Yeah. But so those have dropped. It looks great. As we all know, renderings don't mean shit. So I want to see a shovel in the ground, and I do think that this is more likely than given the ladder of being an A's fan. Other news is Humphrey Kerr, who was the director for Wrexham. He actually is a comedian and a writer. He's been on the show a couple times himself. He is stepping down as the director, and Kayleen Aylen will be taking over as director for football operations for Wrexham here going forward. She was a minority investor in the club in October and has now taken a more serious role of being a director for the club here. So,
Okay.
A little shake up in the family, but nothing too crazy. Kerr was only director because he was a fan of Wrexham growing up as a kid, and they were like, cool, you're going to direct the team then. And he was like, I don't know anything about being a football director.
Right. He was kind of learning on the fly. And I think overall it looks like he did a pretty good job. I mean,
yeah, not bad.
With resources, it's amazing, what suits can do when you get resources,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your Wrexham update. Hopefully we stack some more wins, more than we do losses here going forward. So
that's right. So for NWSL, they released their schedule footprint. They didn't release the actual schedule, who's playing who when, but they did announce a couple of things on March 7th. That's a Friday. That is the Challenge Cup, which is how the NWSL starts the season. It's basically whoever played in the title game. At least that's how it's been the last couple of years. Whoever played in the title game, that's who opens up the season. And so they get like a special, it's like a preseason. It doesn't count toward the standings, but it is like a, they make it a thing. It's an opening of the season. It's So, it's a fun little thing that they do. The season itself starts on March 14th, the following week. And so there's going to be 26 matches over 25 weeks, and there are breaks in between. So you're going to have some weeks where they're going to play 3 games in 9 days or something like that. There's going to be some stretches where there's a lot of soccer happening. So that's exciting. They also announced the playoffs are going to be happening the first 3 weekends of November. So November 7th through the 9th is the opening round of the playoffs. That's the quarterfinals. The semifinals are going to be November 14 to 16. And then your championship game is going to be Saturday, November 22nd. And that's going to be on CBS. But we'll remind you in about 10 months from now about that. So that means they announced the footprint, which means the schedule itself is coming soon. It's a little bit tough with the NWSL because of all the teams, only one of them, I believe, maybe 2 of them are the primary residents of the facility that they're using. Everybody else is the secondary team, or even the third team in some cases as well. So for example, Kansas City, they have their own stadium. They're the primary user. Whereas here, Bay FC, the Earthquakes technically own that stadium. They're the primary user. So they kind of have to wait for other leagues to set their schedule first before they can before the NWSL can set their schedule, because of a lot of these other leagues. So that's kind of what we were waiting for. Major League Soccer announced their schedule, I think last week or a week and a half ago or something like that. So we should be expecting the NWSL schedule to release soon as well. We already know that Bay FC is playing in the Coachella Valley Invitational, and that's going to be their preseason games. So they'll be going against the other West Coast teams and Houston, I believe. So that's kind of what we're waiting on there, waiting for final schedule. And then I can start buying some tickets for some games. Yeah. Oh,
I do want to say though that MLS, they did drop their schedule, and if anyone is still curious, I have trying to see about getting some tickets to watch Messi play here in San Jose. I guess I'm more probably going to buy it closer to it because I want to know that he's going to actually be there and not just be sacked for rest or something against our dog shit team.
Yeah. Thanks, Fisher.
Yeah, exactly.
No, exactly. What time is it?
It's fuck John Fisher o'clock, baby. They did announce that they debuted that stupid fucking Sacramento patch that with the Tower Bridge. And they did that, and they're getting rid of the elephant patch. So fuck you. That elephant has been around for 125 fucking years. That patch specifically, we're not saying Stomper.
Just go back to being a donkey since they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, I know, right? God damn. Fuck that guy right in the ear with no lube, man. Fuck you.
So we didn't talk about it last week, and we got a little bit of time, so I want to bring it up this week.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes. Go for it.
So the Padres are doing their best A's impersonation right now of being a just fuck up.
Okay.
So
It's the curse of Tyler.
Yeah. Can I just root for a team that doesn't want to fucking have turmoil within their own operations?
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to sell out and cheer for the fucking Yankees or something, man.
So
the Dodgers. Yeah.
So Peter Seidler, Seidler, I'm sorry, Peter Seidler here. He was the owner of the Padres, passed away last year.
Right.
Didn't really have a contingency plan of who was going to take over the team once he passed. And that's creating a lot of controversy because his wife, Sheil, she was assuming day-to-day operations, was going to be taking over as the owner. Well, the brothers of Peter, and the brothers' names is, I believe, Bob and Matt. They sold off shares of the Seidler family earnings, I guess, whatever you want to call that, so they could below cost, so they could get ownership or part ownership of the Padres, which they've done. So Sheil feels that they did that in dishonesty, to be a part owners. Well, Matt and Bob are suing Sheil, the wife, because they want to assume control of the team since the brother, Peter, did not announce who was going to be owner of the Padres going forward. And now Sheil was countersuing, saying that, well, she was there for everything, including the Manny Machado signing. She's there for all the signings. She basically was the owner without being the actual name titled as her occupation here. So now it's come out that Matt and Bob have sent Sheil some pretty shitty emails of the racist variety, and she is Indian here. She has now come back and suing them for defamation of character and all this wonderful stuff. And it turns out that now Matt and Bob have talked about if they could consume ownership of the Padres. There's been talks about relocating the team, selling the team. I mean, there's no way that to watch San Diego fans lose their team and have them be sold out underneath them, it would create, that's mass anarchy happening. I mean, it's insane. Like, why are owners doing this? And everyone just seems to let it go underneath the rug. No one cares. No one gives a shit. But if Matt and Bob become ownership or, take sole ownership of the team, their plans are to sell the team and move the team, relocate the team. Can you imagine? Like, you already have the A's, if the Padres were to move, right? If Baltimore was going to move, you know what I mean? Like, it's just insane to Sam's point that there's so many owners that are like John Fisher, and they're all coming out now. And if Matt and Bob get their way, it's gonna be a sad day, man. Sad day to be a Padres fan or root for the Padres if you have to look over your shoulders and wonder if your team's gonna be sold underneath you as a fan base. So shitty days, man. Shitty days ahead. And they haven't been able to get any players. They were gonna sign Roki, but AJ Preller hasn't been able to make any moves because of this lawsuit. They don't know who's the owner, who's gonna
they can't sign off on any checks.
Can't do anything.
You're not gonna add payroll. Yeah,
so Roki was
it's
highly touted, went to the Dodgers.
Disgusting business.
Yeah,
and the Bears, like that. Not to go back to Ben Johnson, but the Bears, they have stadium issues, and they're talking about moving to some suburb far out of the Chicago area. Then the White Sox are talking about this Southern Loop area that they want to build on, and Baltimore, they got a new owner, but they want a new stadium. The Cincinnati Bengals are getting into a kerfuffle with they want a dome. It's a newer stadium, but they want a dome. And that's something that cities are starting to get worried about is what if the NFL says if you want to host a Super Bowl, it must be a dome because they don't want weather issues,
right.
And then what if baseball says that? So now all these major teams are, I know we got a new stadium a couple years ago, but we needed to be in a dome. because we need to host every day. Like, we need to have an event here every day. That's basically what it's become. And I've been saying that since John Fisher was saying that he needed the Howard Terminal site and the Coliseum site. Remember that? And then,
Yep.
what's his name had to walk it back. No. And then the A's get half the site, but it's still not viable. So the only half you need to buy is from the city, and they will gladly sell it to you, but you didn't entertain that. And then you go to Las Vegas for free, and then you're supposedly moving into or you're going to Sacramento for free, then Las Vegas into a stadium you don't even own. And it's all because this Howard Terminal thing and the current site was all about having things that you can just constantly host things. There was all these build outs at Howard Terminal that had nothing to do with the A's, had nothing to do with baseball. It was about putting a small arena where you can have 10,000, 12,000 people, indoor concerts and games and this and that. And then you wanted to develop housing. No one told you get into the housing game. You're going to see this more and more and more and more. This is happening because they got fans, over a barrel.
Yeah.
You want the team, you want the jerseys, you want this, you want that. You're going to have to triple pay for it. So it's just, it's really disgusting, and it makes being a fan really hard. It really does.
Yeah. I think that's well said, and I think that's the perfect place to leave it. So with that being said, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast, watching the podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell for alerts. We do this every Monday. We go live. If you don't have time to listen to the full episode, we're putting out several segments on YouTube each morning as well. So you can hear us in chunks or watch us in chunks as well. So thank you for that. And you can follow us on Instagram and Threads as well at SVT Sports Pod. Thanks for hanging out with us. And until next time, fuck John Fisher.
Always. Later, guys.